gon' give it to you. Fuck, wait for you to get it on your own. X gon' deliver to you. Knock, knock, open up the door, it's real. With the non-stop pop out, I'm stainless steel. Go hard, getting busy with it. But I got such a good heart that I make the motherfucker wonder if you did it. Damn right, and I do it again. Cause I am life, so I got to win. Break bread with the enemy. No matter how many cats I break bread with, I'll break who you sending.
Hi, and welcome to the DC Marvel Battlecast, where we discuss all things DC and Marvel related and debate who would win in versus battle matchups. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
The song that you heard at the beginning was X Gonna Give It To You by DMX from the album The Best of DMX, which you can find on iTunes. Which was the main marketing song for the Deadpool movie.
Yep.
Did you ever get sick of hearing that song from watching all the TV spots and the trailers?
No, I liked that one and the hey yeah,
oh, shoot.
I wanna shoot baby
by Salt and Pepper. That was a good one too. I like that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be discussing the Deadpool movie today, as well as talk about the Super Bowl trailers and of course the Batman vs Superman trailer.
Yeah, let's start with the news. There were quite a few. There's quite a few superhero movies this year. So obviously there were quite a few TV spots during the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Did any of them not get? I guess Doctor Strange is the only one that didn't receive any.
Yeah, it's still pretty far out.
Yeah, it's pretty far out. We don't even have a trailer for it yet, but I'm excited for when we do. I think we might get it for Civil War, so at least we better. At least a teaser.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So, let's start with the Marvel TV spots that we saw. The first one showing up was Deadpool. And I like the joke that he made where he was like, I wish I was an athlete because I've always wanted to have a kid in every city in America. I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, it was pretty quick, pretty short, pretty to the point, and we'll definitely be discussing the movie later in the podcast. So the next commercial that played.
Well, I mean, but that was in Deadpool's only appearance. Like he popped up a few times. Like he was in a Nationwide commercial
when he saved the cat.
Yeah,
and then he dropped the cat to catch the ball. That was hilarious. I laughed out loud on that.
He was popping up in more places than I thought he would.
Yeah, overall the marketing for Deadpool.
Oh my gosh,
the marketing for Deadpool was almost better than the movie itself.
This has to be the best marketing for a film, in the history of film. But it only works for a movie like Deadpool, I think. I mean, my favorite marketing for the film was, what is her name? Monica Baccarin?
Morena Baccarin.
Wow, I was way off. Morena Baccarin.
Morena, yeah.
It's a picture of her and Ryan Reynolds. It's like a romantic kind of comedy kind of film. It has this champagne kind of background.
Oh yeah.
And she's has her arms wrapped around him from behind. It's like
the romantic comedy poster.
Yeah. It was Love Never Dies or something like that. Deadpool. When I saw that, I cracked up so hard. It was hilarious.
Yeah. My favorite marketing, I think, was the when he dressed up for Halloween and took all the kids dressed as X-Men to the park.
That was great.
And he gave the knife to the little girl and just a lot of different things like that. Yeah, it was. And when I say it's better than the movie, that's not to knock the movie. I liked the movie a lot, but this has been the best marketing for a film, probably. Yeah, like you said, that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was great.
So,
whoever did the marketing deserves.
If there were
so much money.
If there were marketing Oscars, which I'm sure there are.
I'm sure there are, yeah.
Not Oscars, but in awards for marketing, they should win.
Yeah.
A lot, because I think they, I'm sure it was expensive, but they're probably, I guarantee they're gonna.
And really, I don't think it was that expensive, because you look at the Halloween footage, and that couldn't have been that much to make.
That's true.
And just a lot, they did a ton of little stuff that just fit in so perfectly with the Deadpool character.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll discuss this. Let's go ahead and jump to the Civil War trailer.
Sure.
The TV spot. That was awesome. I liked how it started with the United We Stand, and then it went into Divided We Fall.
What is that from? United We Stand. That's a Super Bowl thing, right? Or that's
no, it's the tagline for the movie. United We Stand, Divided We Fall.
Okay.
I think. But yeah, everything I see. I mean, I remember last time when I saw the first trailer, I thought I don't want to see anything else because I'm
That's right.
sufficiently hyped for this movie. But
That's
then
right.
when I saw this, I just want to I want to see all. I want to see I just want to see the whole movie.
I want to see more Black Panther.
I think they're saving that, and Spider-Man, of course.
I'm surprised we haven't seen Spider-Man yet.
I'm not.
Really?
Yeah, we won't.
The
see
movie's not too far away. I mean,
it's a few months away, but well, it comes out early May.
when do you think we'll see Spider-Man? Oh, I wonder if Civil War will have a trailer in front of Batman v Superman. Maybe that's when we'll see like a glimpse of him.
Maybe. I think, remember how they showed Vision in the Avengers Age of Ultron trailer where it was just his eyes?
Yeah.
I think it'll be something like that, just like a quick little
Yeah.
just a little taste to
Yeah.
whet your appetite.
Yeah, the first time we saw Vision, it was like, it wasn't in any trailer or anything like that. It was like leaked marketing promotional, like promo images.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get the same thing.
I hope we don't. I hope the studio is the one that reveals it, because they could do a better reveal than anyone else. And I kind of feel like the same, not to get onto Batman v Superman real quick, but Zack Snyder was saying that's why they showed Doomsday in the last trailer, was because like the studio was afraid it was going to leak and they wanted to get on top of that. So I hope they do the same thing with Spider-Man.
Excuses. I don't really believe that.
I do.
It's not like someone was, like, they were in danger of someone taking, like, set photos, like spy set photos or anything, because one, the film's already done shooting, and two, yeah, that's such a bullshit excuse. And two, I mean, the guy, he's a CGI character. How can that leak? It's not possible. He's just trying to cover his ass. He's making excuses like he's prone to do, I feel. And we'll get into that more later.
Whatever.
But, so the two big moments I felt from the Civil War trailer were the Super Watch, the Iron Man watch. That was
cool.
I hope they make a toy about that.
Just gives them an iron hand.
So that I can go to the store and then wish I was a kid so that I could buy it.
You know that thing was built for a toy. It's like any like new Iron Man like suit or anything. It's like, oh, we can make a new toy out of this.
How do you think that would work as a toy though? How would a watch turn into a glove?
It's probably just gonna be the watch or the glove. I don't know, but they're gonna make it into a toy.
How would they turn a watch into a glove? Well, it's either gonna be a watch or a glove.
Yeah, you just have the watch and then you're like, oh,
let me reach it in my pocket.
I put the glove on. I don't know.
All I know is that I want it.
That was I think the most interesting shot of the whole TV spot was the Bucky, Winter Soldier, trying to shoot Iron Man in the face, and you just see Robert Downey, like Tony Stark's face.
His reaction is
it's like he was like
pissed off.
Jeez.
Yeah. And Winter Soldier is no joke, so it would be horrifying. Did he shoot out the lens in his sunglasses, or was that just from the gun muzzle flash that made the lens explode?
No, I didn't even notice that. I thought he was just wearing like a gradient tinted glasses. It was like red on top and then went clear at the bottom.
No. There's definitely a piece. I think there's definitely. I'm pretty sure that there's a lens missing after the shot.
Well, there was probably an altercation before the gun was pulled out, so maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe. I didn't notice that, but if it is missing, that's probably what happened.
Yeah. The other big moment from the trailer, I felt, was the upgraded Ant-Man suit.
That's a weird looking helmet.
It is a weird looking helmet.
Like the jaw portion of it, like from the sort of the.
It looks like
the front of it,
like an anteater kind of. I think it looks less like an ant. I feel like the last mask looked like an ant, but this one reminds me more. It's more mammalian. It looks more like a.
There's like wings on the side. It's just like these like.
It goes back.
Yeah, back and up. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen that shot of it, so I don't know 100% how I feel about it. But I like the rest of the suit. It looks updated from Hank Pym's, because I guess that Hank Pym's outfit was from the 70s and 80s. I guess. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah, the 80s was when he was in action. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. It was interesting to see, though, that he's going to get an update. I keep waiting for like we've never seen like the fully assembled teams all together at the same time. Because I think Cap's team was missing Sharon Carter, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I assume that she would not be out on the battlefield because she would probably get killed pretty quick. But are you Team Cap or Team Iron Man?
I don't care. I don't know. To me, I wish they showed them fighting in more than just one location. I mean, I want this movie. This movie should feel really big, but so far, like, and I don't want to say it feels small because it does have like all these characters and stuff, but so far we've only seen them like in the parking lot of like I don't know what, like some factory building. I don't know.
What? No, it's an airport.
It's an airport.
Yeah.
Well, they're just on the tarmac, the runway.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see. I hope there's just not just one. Is there just gonna be one big battle? Is that like the third act? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it starts off small. I think the story builds, and a few of the characters end up tussling, like Winter Soldier and Iron Man and Black Panther and Captain America, and then it eventually escalates into an all-out war. And then I think the last scene where it's the two teaming up on Iron Man, that's probably the climax. Or, well, I guess the big battle would be the climax, but...
And yet no one is complaining. Oh my gosh,
It's because we don't know for sure. It's not as obvious as it was with the Batman vs. Superman trailer, the 3-act system.
You don't know that.
I'm pretty sure I do. But you didn't answer my question. Are you Team Iron Man or Team Captain America?
I'm Team neither because I know that no team wins. I mean, who won in the comic?
Team Iron Man.
Captain America was killed.
Well, Captain America gave up because he kind of realized that when he saw all the innocents suffering between their civil war and how it was causing more damage than what it was worth, he gave up, and because of that, I've always been Team Iron Man. Because as long as I think heroes do need accountability. I think that if this was a real life situation, that's exactly what would happen. You can't have these people just going rogue, doing whatever they want. I think.
So everyone becomes a SHIELD agent. Pretty much,
yeah. Which makes sense why a lot of people question why Black Widow would join Iron Man's team when she's so loyal to Cap, and I totally see her perspective. She's always been a SHIELD agent. She's never gone out and acted on her own.
I don't like Tony Stark as much as I think Captain America is boring. I think Tony Stark is annoying, so I'm probably Team Cap.
Well, it will all come down in May. We'll see whose team wins.
Yeah. I'm worried about Cap.
You think he's gonna die?
I know they've shot several scenes, like just to throw even the actors off and stuff. They've shot several endings to this film, right? Mm-hmm. Where different characters will die.
Mm-hmm.
I keep hearing rumors.
And this is not a spoiler because Captain America dies at the end of Civil War in the comics.
Yeah.
Which has been around for about 10 years now.
And it's a spoiler, but you should know better.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast, you should know better.
This whole podcast is gonna have tons of spoilers for Deadpool. I feel bad now.
So
we'll put something in the description that says spoilers.
Yeah, probably, or not, and then just laugh about it later. Okay, so I think the rumor is that Steve Rogers is going to die at the end of this movie and then come back as the cavalry kind of in the Infinity War Part 2 because he's going to be resurrected using one of the Infinity Gems.
You think? No one was resurrected in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline.
A lot of people were. Thanos killed half of the universe.
No, but at the end everyone the status quo was brought back, but no dead characters Thor wasn't Thor at the time, right? It was the guy who became Thunderstrike.
Yeah.
And it's not like Thor. I mean, so Captain America coming back, unless it's part of this the status quo when everyone comes back. I don't know. I don't foresee that.
Why not? It's the most easy. It's a good way.
It's the most logical, but I think Chris Evans is done.
What? No, he has more movies in his contract. He's not done. He loves playing the role. If anybody's done out of the main Avengers actors,
It's Tony Stark.
no,
Robert Downey Jr.
no,
Who?
Chris Hemsworth, I think.
What?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. I don't think he likes playing the role as much as the others.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what would they get?
So I wonder if Thor's gonna die too, and maybe that's how. I wonder if he's gonna die in Ragnarok, and then they both come back later.
Does that mean Natalie Portman takes over as Thor, like in the comics right now?
Heck, no, I don't think so. Maybe even Tony Stark's gonna die too, and then like all three of them come back, like the big three Avengers come back. I don't know. That would be pretty cool to see. It'll be like the end of the Two Towers movie when Gandalf comes back. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's the idea.
The end of the Two Towers, is that what you said?
Yeah. The Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers.
Yeah. It wasn't the end.
Well, it was like 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah.
So, is that it for the Cap trailer? Let's move on to the X-Men Apocalypse trailer.
Sure.
That one was another short one. I guess the big moment there was the reveal of Psylocke. Wait, what did I say?
Psylocke.
I almost said
You
Cyclops.
almost said Cyclops.
Psylocke kicking ass.
Oh my gosh, that was cool.
Yeah.
Her side blade. I've been dying to see that because I feel like every shot every scene we've seen of Olivia Munn, like in the first trailer, it was just like her face and just like a purple pink lit environment. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like we haven't seen too much, and like of all the characters in this film, I think I'm most looking forward to Psylocke, just because like we've seen everyone else with the exception of like Apocalypse. But I mean, I'm still not sold on his look yet. Although it's gotten better. It's gotten better.
He doesn't look like Ivan Ooze anymore.
They did something in post.
Yeah.
Like something with his like cheek, jaw.
Yeah. And it just goes to show the merits of fan bitching. Because
totally.
Yeah, if we bitch enough, we can. It looks like we can actually enact change, and that's kind of with the whole Deadpool thing too. When they release the footage, the CGI test footage that really got fans up in a clamor and demanded that the movie actually get green.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
So if you ever wonder if you're being too annoying when you're whining on message boards on the internet, don't do it more. We make a difference. And Psylocke's, I like Psylocke's costume. It's one of the most faithful in the X-Men universe. Great cleavage in that shot.
But it's really interesting because like they gave her a super faithful costume, and I thought with like X-Men First Class and X-Men Days of Future Past, like we were sort of moving closer to like having like not necessarily like Jim Lee style, but I guess a lot of people are familiar with like the animated series costumes.
Yeah.
I get in 90s costumes, I guess. I thought we were moving more towards that, but it looks like all the X-Men are wearing black leather again.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of stinks. But
I would love to see a Cyclops with his blue suit and like yellow.
Do you want to see the X visor or the horizontal visor?
Good question.
The X visor is really growing on me. At first I didn't like it, but when the center of the X glows and he looks like an actual Cyclops, I think it's pretty sweet.
Cyclops has always been like a great aesthetic, I think. He's always been like really cool. Like he was always like my favorite X-Men when I was younger. I remember having a Cyclops toy. And you'd push a button and his eyes would light up.
Yeah, and then I had the Wolverine action figure where you flip the little switch next to his hands and his claws will pop out.
I've yet to see another cool like action figure as cool, Wolverine action figure as cool as that one.
Yeah,
that was really cool. I totally forgot about those toys. Those were cool. Yeah. But yeah, Cyclops has always been like a great aesthetic. I think the day I see the X visor in a movie is a great day.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah, I think that's it for that one. Yeah, I was surprised they didn't go for it with an 80s song. during.
Because that's all the rage right now.
Well, no, because the movie takes place in the 80s.
Yeah, the song they chose though was, I mean, what's the name of that Coldplay song? We live in a beautiful world.
I don't know.
But it was a rendition of that.
I would have rather heard something by like Devo or Wham or something.
Wham!
That was my attempt at Careless Whisper.
No.
Careless Whisper.
I like what they chose. I thought that was
a good friend, and then Mystique changes, and then she's all blue and naked. Yeah.
Have we seen her blue and naked in this film yet? No.
Yeah. We
have?
Yeah. Well, Apocalypse is like choking her, and she's blue. I keep realizing I subconsciously realized this in the last movie, but I didn't really talk about it. She is a much more vibrant hue of blue than she was in First Class and the other X-Men movies.
Really?
It's kind of distracting. Have you noticed that the cinematography for X-Men Apocalypse looks different than any of Bryan Singer's other movies?
I agree. Even some of the shots.
It's very kinetic.
It is.
Weird angles.
It reminds me a lot of... Have you seen... I don't think we mentioned this in the previous podcasts. The posters for Batman v Superman. Like there's this a set of 3 posters. It's Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. That has like a red logo imprint in front of their photographs, and there's just like this background of like this blue, like cloudy sky with like gray rocks, just kind of like flying. That same atmosphere, that same like scenery. Like when you take a look at the X-Men, it sort of has like that same aesthetic, especially like when you see, does Storm like teleport via lightning bolt?
Well, Apocalypse makes them more powerful.
Yeah, well that makes sense, but it's that same, it's like swirling blue cloudy sky with like just like the rocks floating, or it's yeah, you're right. Kinetic is a good word.
Yeah. Very low angles, straight on angles.
Right. I do think when I saw the Apocalypse Super Bowl trailer, I thought it was the best piece of marketing for the film so far, for sure.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. It gets me excited for the film. Yeah,
me too. And right off the heels of Days of Future Past, which I actually watched a part of the other day. It's such a good movie. I actually rewatched part of the X-Men Origins Wolverine movie the other day just to remember what a bad Deadpool looks like.
Do you own it?
I do.
Ugh.
Yeah, I own all the Marvel movies, good or bad. All right, so let's move on to the next Marvel commercial that was played was the Hulk and Ant-Man Coke commercial.
Oh, the Coca-Cola commercial.
Which I loved. I was completely confused at the beginning of it because I knew that they were releasing the cans, but I wasn't sure exactly what the commercial would look like. And when I saw... I was confused by the Coke can that seemed to just be moving on its own, and I wasn't even thinking of the context of Ant-Man. But when I saw him, I thought that it was... I loved that commercial. It was one of the coolest TV spots ever, I think, for a Super Bowl.
Do you wish they had some of the actors in it? I mean, they had...
Well, they had Paul Rudd's voice.
I guess that was Paul Rudd's... When I heard it, I was having trouble convincing myself that was Paul Rudd's voice. Like, I don't know.
I could tell you haven't seen the Ant-Man movie. It was totally Paul Rudd's voice. I think one of the coolest part about Marvel growing up reading the comics is those like little in-between issues, like between adventures, where you kind of just see like the character hanging out and like there's a guest spot by like another one of the Marvel Universe characters. That's what this commercial felt like to me. It felt kind of like an interstitial kind of little mini adventure between two characters that you haven't really seen together yet.
Oh, so you think this commercial is canon?
No, it's definitely not canon because it doesn't make sense in terms of continuity. There's no way it can happen. because let's see, Ant-Man visited the Avengers base in the Ant-Man movie, and at that point the Hulk has already left. So
That's right.
Yeah.
Way to confuse people.
No, I mean it's you can't think of it like that. You can't think of it in terms of continuity. You just got to think of it in terms of like kind of like a little bonus mini comic kind of that doesn't really take place within or without continuity. It's just for fun.
I feel like some of the footage they used for Hulk was like reused from like the Avengers films.
I'm sure they did some of that. Yeah, but the part where he's trying to open the can and everything.
Yeah, that was original.
Yeah, that commercial probably cost a lot of money.
I'm sure.
So, yeah. So we got to get you to watch the Ant-Man movie. So when we will probably review it sometime this year.
Yeah, well, during the course of the podcast, when there's like a lull, which there really won't be this year, but when there is a lull between like superhero films and battle casts and stuff like that, we'll go back and take a look at like films like Ant-Man and Man of Steel and some of the older films. So
I think the next Super Bowl trailers or Super Bowl commercials were the DC ones.
Yeah, they didn't appear until the Super Bowl was finished.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're from Colorado.
Go Broncos!
Go Broncos. If you're listening to this from Carolina, in your face. Or if you're rooting for California,
suck it.
In your face.
Boom. What? Yeah. That's right.
And we just lost all our Carolina fans.
Yeah. They're like, oh, fuck this. I'm turning it off. No.
What did you think of the Turkish Airlines TV spots?
I thought they were pretty creative. I didn't know what it was initially. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I'd never even heard of Turkish Airlines. All right.
It wasn't until I saw the bat signal in the sky that I...
Really? Yeah. That far along?
Well, I wasn't paying attention. I didn't even recognize Ben Affleck. I must have looked away at that point or talking to somebody.
Oh, wow.
But
I thought they were really well done. They were really beautifully shot. And it was just great, like, just scenic.
There's the word beautiful again.
They were beautifully shot.
What does beautifully shot mean?
They were pretty to look at.
Okay.
What does beautiful mean? Second time using it.
Well, be more specific.
The cinematography was...
It looked like an actual travel commercial.
It did. It looked like a really well done travel commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think they captured, like, the tones of both cities really well. I'm so excited. Because, like, Gotham has been portrayed so many different ways. From, like super gothic in Tim Burton's version.
Yeah.
Really dark. And then you have... You know, the Joel Schumacher version, which is like huge-ass statues just like in the midst of skyscrapers and just really like neon and weird.
Yeah.
And then you have Christopher Nolan's version, which is very, you know, just like
Chicago or Detroit.
Chicago, New York City, you know, just very modern city. There wasn't really like gargoyles or anything like that. But just like... One of the first shots you see from the commercial for Gotham City is this gargoyle. And then, like, seeing the opera house and them mentioning the barrows and stuff like that. Oh, it was so cool. I was so excited. I thought they captured, like, the comic Gotham City so well. Which makes sense because, like, this feels like the closest thing to Batman from the comics we've ever gotten. And as a fan, that was just, like, it was just so cool. And it was the same thing for Metropolis. They really... It's, you know, these cities are so different. And they captured that, I thought.
The Metropolis, the feel of the Metropolis city to me felt very kind of like the architecture reminded me very much like the 1970s Richard Donner version of Metropolis, I think.
Really?
Did you notice that there was no globe on top of the Daily Planet building?
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I didn't notice that, but yeah, I don't remember seeing the globe.
Interesting. Well,
yeah,
I wonder why.
I don't know.
If they're sticking so close to the comics for Gotham City, you would think you'd see a globe on Metropolis. But
I'm gonna have to go back and look at it. Maybe didn't they just show the bottom of the Daily Planet? They didn't show the top of it.
Well, I remember seeing the title, the Daily Planet.
Yeah, it was just the bottom of the building. I thought.
No, I think it was just it may have been a crop, but I definitely don't remember seeing the globe. So we'll see if it's in the movie or not.
I would be surprised.
Yeah.
I would be surprised. Yeah, you didn't see it in Man of Steel. Maybe they're rebuilding it. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
What did you think of Lex Luthor? Why was he holding the racquetball on the plane? Was he about to play, like, was he going to play racquetball on the plane?
That's his, like, stress ball. You didn't know Turkish Airlines have racquetball courts at the bottom of their planes? Come on!
Oh, jeez.
No, and then I thought Ben Affleck, I liked Jesse Eisenberg, and I didn't hate it, you know. I was more impressed by Ben Affleck's, because I thought Ben Affleck was actually acting like Bruce Wayne, upset that he had to do that commercial. He's like, really? I'm doing a commercial for a Turkish Airlines. Ugh.
Was it Ben Affleck that was upset he had to do the commercial, or was it Ben Affleck acting as Bruce Wayne upset he had to do the commercial?
It was an upset Ben Affleck acting as an upset Bruce Wayne.
Well, he probably got paid for it pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Jesse Eisenberg, I feel like he makes these choices. I bet you he was on set that day. He's like, give me a racquetball. Somebody give me a racquetball, guys. Okay, I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna hold it up like this and I'm gonna squeeze it while I talk. He makes weird choices sometimes.
What? It's not that big a deal. I am surprised it was Turkish Airlines. I know they have a deal with I think, like, there's a scene in the movie where, like, Wonder Woman Diana is riding Turkish Airlines, but this seems like a really big, like, movie, like a brand tie-in.
Is Turkish Airlines big in America? I've never flown Turkish Airlines.
Neither have I.
To me, it sounds like a primarily European type.
Well, it's sort of like I remember seeing, like, Korean Air commercials, like, a year ago, a few years ago.
Maybe the commercial is for Americans who are in Europe.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because, like, they said that Turkish Airlines, like, flies, and they were getting too much on Turkish Airlines, but I just thought this was interesting. They say that they, like, fly to more countries than any other airline in the world, but it's like you don't debut your airline with a fake commercial. Like, for fake cities. Like, are people going to know that Turkish Airlines is a real thing?
Oh, they might think it's just like a interesting kind of parody type TV spot.
Not parody, but just like in DC Universe airline. You know, that's, you don't do that.
Yeah.
The coolest part of the TV,
like it would be like the equivalent of like a commercial for Stark Tech or something.
Yeah.
That like looks real. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I get what
exactly.
you're saying. Yeah.
Or like LexCorp. You know, that, like, fake website that they made and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
It's just sort of, you know, it's just like this meta kind of thing. The coolest part of the coolest part of the TV spots, though, were the last shots, just of Batman and Superman just walking towards each other, like, oh yeah, shit's about to go down. It was the coolest part. Like, I mean, everything else was interesting, but right when that scene happened, I was, like, up on my feet, like, yeah. I was already pumped up because of the Broncos, but that was just cool too.
I wasn't. Melissa looked at me to see what I thought of the trailer, and I just made the jerking off motion.
Feeding the chickens. I did the same thing for the Ant-Man Hulk.
Oh no, I squealed.
Although I am my heart is kind of broken that Coca-Cola sold out to Marvel. I was waiting for the Batman Coca-Cola commercial. There's a Dr. Pepper tie-in for the DC stuff, which Dr. Pepper isn't bad, but I really love Coca-Cola.
Yeah, it's the best. And in no way are we sponsored by Coca-Cola for me saying that. Okay, so I guess that's a good way to segue into the trailer. Yes,
the biggest news, I think, for me, the biggest news since our last podcast is the new trailer that dropped this week. Oh my gosh. And
I woke up that morning and I was going through my daily news and I was getting ready, and then I saw the trailer and I sent it to you. You hadn't seen it yet. I hadn't
seen it yet. It was really early in the morning. I'm still not... So you got it from your news feed? Because you had it before, like, any of the other, like, my typical superhero news sites that I go to. None of them had it yet. So, like, if you're a follower on Twitter, if you follow us on Twitter, which is only, like, 13 people right now.
At DC Marvel Battle.
Yeah, at DC Marvel Battle. If you follow us, you could have seen it before anyone else. So make sure you do that, by the way. And it was, I saw it when you sent it to me. I was on the bus going to work, and so I watched it with, like, the volume pretty low. The bus was pretty empty, but I was just, like, so excited, so pumped when I saw it. You know, it starts off with the bat plane and Alfred taking the controls, and right from that shot, when you see like the interior of the Batcave with those computer monitors and stuff, I'm like, oh, this is awesome.
So much more Batman in feel than the cave in any of the Christopher Nolan movies. The cave didn't exist for like 2 of the movies. He was working in the warehouse thing.
Well, the cave, and even just Batman alone, that opening shot with Batman taking out those thugs, someone asked me at work the other day, like, what's your favorite superhero film? And I said, well, The Dark Knight. But I do have to say, the opening, 30 seconds of this trailer is the best Batman movie we've ever seen.
Yeah, probably. It kind of, like, you think of Christian Bale's fighting scenes in that movie as kind of like the definitive version of Batman fighting a bunch of goons, like in the Batman Begins when he's at the docks and he's fighting this.
Yeah.
This was better than that, and it kind of makes you see where, even though the Christopher Nolan Batman movies are so praised, you really see where they still went wrong in terms of getting the character true to the comics.
Yeah, I mean, when in the movies did you see, other than like at the docks in Batman Begins, and then like in the tunnels, on his way to face Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, you don't see Batman take out like huge groups of thugs in the movies.
There was also in The Dark Knight Rises when he was saving Robin's life. I forget Robin's real name. What was Robin's real name? That was so dumb. I don't know why.
John Blake.
John Blake, yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't nearly as cool as what we saw. Batman just like, Ben Affleck's Batman just like lifting guys up and slamming them into the ground and just taking out so many guys at once, just like methodically.
I like the knife to the back of the neck and how it was like armored.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it was cool. That was a nice little, you could turn his neck and actually just like look around and just take guys out. It was so cool. And the cape, best Batman cape. And I loved the Christopher Nolan Batman cape.
Zack Snyder has a great sense of how to make things feel, like how to ground them in reality, but also make them feel fantastical.
Yeah, and I'm almost guarantee you that cape is CG.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like it's just so well done. Yeah. It's just such a great like comic book aesthetic. If there's one thing about Zack Snyder, like I know not everyone loves his like aesthetic. People don't like the slow motion and stuff like that. I think it's.
Well, it worked in 300.
It worked in 300.
It didn't work so much in Watchmen, but I loved Watchmen.
I like Watchmen. I think it's, and a lot of people don't.
No, screw them. It's
fantastic. Great. It's great.
To me, actually, if you ask me what my favorite DC movie is, it's Watchmen.
Really?
Yes.
It's a good movie. Like the slow motion scenes for me are so great at translating. Like, I mean, there wasn't like any in Man of Steel, but it's like almost like a comic book panel like freeze frame. Like you want to see that like floating action kind of. And I think it's just appropriate for comic book films.
To be stylized like that?
Yeah, I mean I don't mind it. Not every comic book film has to do that, but I mean there is sort of that like you're missing that when you're watching a film as opposed to like reading a comic book. You don't get to take, because the images are flying by so fast, you don't get to take everything in as much as you do when, an artist is, drawing out. Page. Right, a splash page or, just a panel in general.
Oh. What did you think of Clark Kent going into the bathtub with all of his clothes on?
I was like, yeah, you get it. Go, boy, get it.
It was weird.
What?
I thought it was pretty weird.
Well, I mean...
what are you going to do? Like, okay, so he's going to go there and he's going to, like, do the hibbity-dibbity with her, but he still has to take his clothes off, but they're going to be all wet, so it's going to be all awkward. I don't know.
It's Superman. He could do it in a second. Not that big of a deal.
Super removal of clothes.
There we go. It's a thing.
What about Wonder Woman? I thought...
that was great. We finally got to hear her voice. Great voice. Really, like, elegant. She's really confident.
What's her accent?
It was like vaguely English, European. Any European accent in American cinema is going to be like vaguely English. I'm assuming her character is from Europe.
Yeah.
I imagine they're going to put Themyscira.
Well, she flies Turkish Air, so...
Yeah. It's near Turkey.
Yeah.
Probably near Greece.
Yeah, she seemed... This trailer overall seemed, like you said, like the last trailer that we got was more for fans of the comic, or not fans of the comics, like people outside of that fandom who were like confused as to why
they're fighting, why they're fighting, and are they going to stay enemies?
Yeah, this one totally seemed for the fans. It had a lot of fan moments.
Well, yeah, earlier when you mentioned about like the studios are listening, about the whole like X-Men Apocalypse thing, about Deadpool, this trailer I felt like was another example of the studio really listening to the fans and reading those message boards, because it brought the whole marketing concept and push back towards Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, I thought it was cool when he fired. What did he shoot at him? It looked like a big shotgun shell.
The Superman just catches it
like a rifle bullet. I mean,
yeah,
and he just kind of.
That was like a cool 1-2 shot because like it has Batman throwing a batarang. It's really quick, and a guy with a gun. Like during the opening scene, they went back to that.
Which I love. I don't know why batarangs are so appealing to me, but we barely got any of that in the Nolan movies.
It has yet to be done in a way that like I really want.
When I think of like the definitive batarang scene, I go back to the Keaton movies, the Tim Burton movies, when he like pulls out his batarang and he's like, I mean, like a bull. It was more like a bola, I guess. But to me, that was just the coolest thing as a kid, and so I've been waiting to see it again as an adult, and it seems like we're getting closer to that. With these movies.
But that 1-2 shot, like the batarang, and then Superman catching the bullet. I mean, you're gonna get people complaining about Superman firing a gun. I think it was a kryptonite bullet.
You mean Batman firing a gun?
Oh, did I say Superman?
Yeah.
Batman firing a gun. I think it was a kryptonite bullet, personally.
Do you think... Okay. Yeah, that leads me into my question. How is Batman able to stop Superman's punch?
My theory is that kryptonite isn't going to hurt Superman. It's not going to make him feel pain, but it will make him weaker. And I don't think he maybe noticed that. So when he caught the kryptonite bullet, I think...
But in Man of Steel, going on the kryptonite ship made him physically sick.
But that was because of kryptonite.
Did I say kryptonite ship? I meant the Krypton ship. I'm assuming that kryptonite has the same effect as when he was on the Kryptonian ship.
I don't think so. The Kryptonian ship was because it was built for the Krypton atmosphere. And just as how Zod was disoriented from Earth's atmosphere, and Superman was disoriented by Krypton's. I don't think Superman. This is just my theory, and I have nothing to base this on. But I don't think kryptonite is going to disorient.
Well, when I was watching Man of Steel and he got sick on that planet, I thought, oh, this is kind of how kryptonite is going to work, just being around, not just the atmosphere, but any type of that planet's I don't know if are they going the radioactivity route? How did
kryptonite has always been about radioactivity.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember now how the planet was blown up in Man of Steel.
The core. They harvested the core.
That's right. Okay.
And then it just became unstable. It just blew up.
Okay. So you don't think he'll feel the effects in terms of like, because like usually it makes him look like kryptonite makes him look like he's constipated kind of and needs to throw up. So you think it'll be more subtle in this movie? He doesn't realize it, and he just all of a sudden he's mortal, has no powers.
The only thing I have to base this theory on, is Henry Cavill's just great facial expression.
Yes.
When Superman blocks his punch. And he's just
when Batman blocks his punch.
Did I say Superman again? Gosh dang it. When Batman blocks Superman's punch, just the look on Superman's face, he's like, what? He's just like completely just like taken aback.
Yeah, Batman's face is pretty good too.
And he just like has a slight smile.
Just such a subtle smile.
So
Actually,
good.
I rewound that part just to see it again because I could have swore I saw a smile on him the first time, and then I rewound it and I didn't really see a smile, but it, you could feel it.
You totally feel it, and it's slightly. Ben Affleck is so good.
Yeah.
I'm sick. People still to this day like are still complaining to me about Ben Affleck being Batman. It's like, how after seeing this trailer is there any more argument that he is the perfect Batman.
I always figured he'd be a good Bruce Wayne. I had no qualms with it at all when I first heard that news.
Yeah, me neither.
Cast.
I think we've talked about that before. But yeah, I cannot wait for this film. It's only a month away, almost, and I'm not sure how much more we're gonna see from the film. I know they're having a Good Morning America either Monday or Tuesday is having this like special for the movie. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I'm not sure why they're doing that. Who watches Good Morning America?
Not comic book fans. They're trying to market to the people who aren't already going to see it opening day.
Stay-at-home moms and dads, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Or people who work from home and watch daytime TV, I guess. Anyway.
Yeah.
Is that it for the trailer? Did you get all your geekasms out?
It was but it was really good.
It was a good trailer. It was much better than the last one, which I didn't like. And the primary reason I think this one was better was not just because it paid fan service, but was because there was no Lex Luthor. Or barely any Lex Luthor. I just can't stand that guy.
Is it Jesse Eisenberg that you don't like, or like the character of Lex Luthor?
Both. It's not the Lex Luthor that I know, so
what?
I don't like it.
Why?
Because he's horrible. It's bad. It's not Lex Luthor. I feel like it's not Lex Luthor.
Well, who is Lex Luthor to you?
Well, we've already talked about this.
The animated series?
The comic version of Lex Luthor. This is not the comic version of Lex Luthor. It feels like it's comic everything else, and then they kind of just went off on a tangent.
I have faith in Zack Snyder. I have faith in this movie.
Okay.
Just have faith.
I lost my faith with Man of Steel, but...
What?
That's a conversation for another time.
Oh my gosh. All right. Whatever.
So do we want to segue into the Deadpool review now?
Sure.
Okay. I feel like we need we need to get jingles or some kind of stinger or something for when we're going to do battle casts and when we're going to do reviews. It would be
just I got nothing. I was going to review time. Dun, dun, dun.
I'm trying to think of something off the top of my head and I can't think of anything.
All right, well, we're going into the review now for Deadpool. Joseph saw it Thursday night. I just saw it last night.
Yeah.
Okay, off the top of your head, or right off the bat, do you want to start with...
Yeah, well, let me talk about my kind of personal history with
Sure, yeah.
Deadpool.
Right.
I want to say right off the bat that I've never been the biggest fan of Deadpool.
Me neither.
And I think it has to do with, one, the first time I ever saw him in the 90s, I thought he was a Spider-Man doppelganger. Like, a guy who was just wanting to be... Because I thought it was Spider-Man's mask.
The suit is really close.
Yeah.
It's like...
So, I kind of... I didn't like him because of that. I was just like, who's this Spider-Man wannabe? And, I didn't read too much into the character. And I knew he was... Spider-Man is funny. This guy is funny. He's like Spider-Man, but with guns. He's Spider-Man without all the things that make Spider-Man cool, basically. Which is, the web swinging and the Spidey sense.
What you liked about Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah. I was wrong. They're way different characters.
But I do have to wonder, it's so obvious that Deadpool's costume looks so much like Spider-Man's. That has to lead to some, public confusion amongst the characters. I wonder if people, when they saw the Deadpool trailers and stuff they were like, is that Spider-Man?
Well, I have for last Christmas, one of my coworkers got me, she knew I liked Marvel, so she got me a Deadpool mug.
She didn't know that you didn't like Deadpool.
She thought no, I do like Deadpool, but she thought it was a Spider-Man mug.
Oh, really?
She thought it was a Spider-Man mug. So oh no, this is Deadpool. Over the years, I didn't start liking Deadpool until I started collecting the Marvel team-up comics, and I got to read more about his character. And then I kind of looked into him and looked into his other issues. And, he grew on me. Sometimes I think he's a little overpowered, but he's not a superhero, and he's not in the traditional sense of the word. There's not really any stakes in a lot of the comics that I've read with him, because he's, he can't die, So they're mainly just for their comedic value. That's what I usually read them for. And because of that, I never think... I don't think a good Deadpool story will ever be as good as, a good Captain America story. And to that end, I don't think a good Deadpool movie will ever be as good as a good Captain America movie. This was a fantastic movie. It was no Winter Soldier, but it is about as good a Deadpool movie as I think you can get. And for that, you have to give it praise.
It was different from the comics, right? I mean, he was in the Weapon X program. He had implanted memories. In this movie, I mean, okay, again, spoiler alert. Don't listen to this if you haven't seen Deadpool yet. In the movie, at the end of the movie, I was actually surprised that he got the girl at the end. I thought she was gonna die, which of course would have made for a terrible Valentine's Day movie.
I thought it would have been a Deadpool moment if she threw up when she saw him. But they had just wasted their throw up gag with Colossus when he killed Francis, when he killed Ajax.
I feel
was hilarious.
Yeah, that was
I laughed out loud on that.
That was one of my favorite moments, actually. Well, I don't want to jump to the end right away.
Okay, yeah.
I'll get back to that later.
Okay.
But I just want to say what I think of Deadpool.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like the character because I felt like he was making fun of superheroes and making fun of superhero fans in a way because yeah, I mean he's fourth wall breaking. He's not. I guess the DC has a similar character called Ambush Bug, but no one likes him. No one even knows of him, and it's just ridiculous, irony for the sake of just ridiculousness. And to me, that's not treating superheroes as this serious thing.
They don't always have to be a serious thing, though. Is what I understand from Deadpool. And the movie was like the comics, although I feel like he was less crazy in the movie. He was more like a guy who had just this really biting sense of humor. Like in the comics, he is
insane.
Insane. He has the multiple voices in his head, and sometimes he can do pretty evil things actually. So I mean, okay. So basically,
sorry. One more thing. Yeah. Other thing I didn't like about Deadpool was, this is probably less. He's sort of evolved definitely into his own character. But he started off as a ripoff, like so many Marvel characters, of a DC character, of Deathstroke.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's so much to the point where, and it's unapologetically Deathstroke. Because, they even Deathstroke's name is Slade Wilson. They gave Deadpool the name Wade Wilson.
Yeah.
It's he's just this badass, gun-toting, sword-wielding.
And he has Deathstroke has a healing factor too.
Yeah, I mean it's not as
powerful
as Deadpool's because Deadpool is essentially immortal.
Yeah,
but yeah, Deathstroke could heal faster.
Yeah, of course you wouldn't like Deadpool. He is a total ripoff. Okay, but for all the bashing that we've done of Deadpool, I think we're definitely being too harsh on the guy. He is not a serious comic book character in my eyes. He's more for comedic relief. That's what his stories are good for, and it's fun to read a lot of those comics.
Yeah. I see the appeal of him because I know a few some of my friends at work. One of my former coworker Adam Spees was a huge Deadpool fan. I know that he has a huge audience. He has a huge fan base.
Yeah, he has a huge fan base because of his humor. I think because he doesn't take himself quite so seriously. And there are people who identify with that, who don't necessarily want to read good hero stories, but just want to read something fun.
They want to be entertained.
Yeah. The Deadpool comic is the equivalent of the National Lampoon series in terms of movies, I think.
Yeah.
So it's nice. So not being the biggest fans of the character, still love this movie. I'm actually going to go see it again tonight.
Oh, really?
I'll see it for the second time. I usually see most Marvel movies at least 3 times. But I've seen, the first Avengers movie, I saw that one 10 times in theaters.
That's right.
Just because everybody, all my friends that hadn't seen it yet to that point, they knew I was a huge fan of the movie. They'd be like, you want to go see it? I'll be like, yeah. So I just saw it a lot of times with a bunch of different friends.
That happened to me with Man of Steel, but I think I only saw it 4 times in theaters.
That's because it wasn't as good of a movie.
No, it was great. It was great.
All right, so how does Deadpool begin? Okay, so overall, the Deadpool movie, liked it. I'll give it
You want to start with the score?
I'll give it 4 Infinity Stones out of 5 Infinity Stones. Even though there are 6 Infinity
There's 6
Stones.
Infinity Stones, though.
But I'm doing a 5-star rating. I think the story was the most lacking. And they kind of hid that, though, with the way they structured the narrative with the flashbacks.
The structure was really interesting.
And yeah, I mean, it's not too complicated of a story if you get rid of that first act structure with the flashbacks.
No, yeah, I mean,
but that was the only thing I found lacking. I think everything else from the acting to the action was top notch. The CGI was kind of hit and miss, mostly hit, but there were a few parts where he seemed a little bit too rubbery.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the rest of it was pretty top notch.
The plotting, I think, was the most interesting thing about the film because it has so many like flashbacks, and then like they play with the timeline so much. Yet you're right. Like the story is so simple. You're never lost at any point in the film.
Right.
Like it's really easy to digest, despite its like postmodern plotting structure.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was like really. What's the word I was thinking? I was telling my wife about this last night. It was like refreshing, almost, to have like a character who like breaks the fourth wall, and like you could do so many things with like the timeline and interaction with the audience. It felt I don't know, more. I don't want to say personal, in a way, but like it definitely felt like an experience almost.
Yeah, it made you feel like you were along for the ride with him.
You were really rooting for the guy.
Yeah, because he was talking with you, and you kind of became friends with him. It feels like, though.
Yeah,
and that's the way the comics are too, kind of.
Yeah, like I was his friend. That's a great way of putting it.
I like the fourth wall break inside of the fourth wall break.
This is like a 16th wall break. That was great.
16 walls. The first scene opening credits were awesome. I like how the writers credited themselves as the real heroes.
Yeah, that
I thought
that was hilarious. The opening credits, I was laughing. Because I heard that the opening credits were funny. I didn't know what to expect, but that was great. That was hilarious.
Yeah,
CGI character, stuff like that.
The hot chick,
moody teen.
Yeah,
British villain.
That was a good one. And the opening action sequence. We had already seen a lot of it from the test footage that they had released that got the movie the green light, but it was fantastic. I loved that first action scene. It was so over the top and violent. Like when the guy smashed into the highway sign, those were pretty good special effects. And it like made me wince, but also laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Kind of the same way I did with the Punisher Warzone movie, but this was a much better movie than Punisher Warzone. It was like funny violence. And especially like when Colossus came aboard and he was like punching him and breaking his wrists.
That was my favorite part of the film. I think like the parts I laughed the most at were the dynamic between Deadpool and the other X-Men characters.
Yeah, I don't even want. I guess a Cable movie is, or not a Cable movie, but Cable is going to be in the next Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be X-Force or whatever iteration. I would almost prefer a Colossus Deadpool movie just because their dynamic was so great.
They go on a road trip.
I love it. Colossus is one of my favorite X-Men, and it was so cool to see him portrayed in a manner that was much closer to the comics than in the other X-Men movies.
Right, in the other X-Men movies, like he didn't have his Russian accent. He didn't have like the plating. It was more just like Ultimate Colossus, where it's just like the
It was like T-1000 skin kind of.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind his look, but I didn't. He was very bland as a character.
He didn't. I mean, he had very very small roles in the previous films.
And Colossus is one of the most altruistic X-Men, and so it was great that they put him in this role.
I'm just thinking of the scene where Angel Dust's boob pops out when she's fighting Colossus, and Colossus it just stops fighting. Oh, sorry, madam, you're a beautiful woman.
She was like, oh, thank you. That reminded me of a scene from the Half Baked movie. Did you ever see that with Dave Chappelle?
No.
He's fighting the girl, and he was like, "Dang, girl, your titty," and she's like, "What? Oh!" Like the whole fight stops. She puts it back in. It's so much funnier to see that done with superheroes. That was probably my favorite joke of the movie, I think.
It was. There are so many great jokes.
Yeah.
What'd you think of T.J. Miller?
T.J. Miller was hilarious. I knew he would be.
Weasel, right? That's his...
Weasel.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting how he got his name from the Deadpool at the bar.
Yeah.
So I guess they would instigate a bar fight, and then they would put bets to see on who would die during the bar fight, and they called it the Deadpool.
Yeah.
But it was pretty interesting how he was like, Weasel was like, oh, now I just realized I'm never gonna win the Deadpool, and that's how he got his name.
Yeah.
But he's like Captain Deadpool.
Captain Deadpool. No, just Deadpool.
Just Deadpool. Just Deadpool. I thought that was pretty good. That was a pretty good gag.
Yeah.
You know, for as funny as the movie was, I found myself... I thought seeing the origin story... Usually, by this point, I get kind of bored with origin stories. But I thought the point of the movie, the flashbacks leading up to the Deadpool character, I wasn't as in a rush just to get to the superhero part. I actually liked... You know, all the scenes with Deadpool as the mercenary, you know, ordering the pizza.
Oh, that was great.
And the bar scene and seeing him, you know, get to know Vanessa in, you know, every way imaginable. I thought those were fantastic scenes. It really made you care about the character. They
Happy International Women's Day.
No. Like, no, I don't like it. That was fantastic. And then like in the scenes where he got cancer and she was like upset and he was thinking she's thinking about all these plans and I'm just trying to memorize her face and everything. I thought it was really touching. I thought it was really well done. The acting was superb. The proposal scene was hilarious. I think they handled that section of the story, which I thought would be the least interesting part of the story. I think they handled it really well.
They did. I think if Deadpool... Just going back to the plotting, I think that was almost the saving grace of Deadpool. I think I would not have liked the movie as much if it was told chronologically, because it would have taken so long to get to like where Deadpool is in the the warrior phase of his hero's journey, and that's like really what you want to see from a Deadpool movie, because he is, you know, just like this gun-toting, sword-wielding, crazy fighter guy. And so, like, just starting off with that and going back and telling the origin story in spurts, you know, I think it was done really organically, and you know, what you were saying about, you know, really having those touching moments and stuff. The fact that we knew what was going to happen down the road, you know, it didn't detract from those touching moments.
Right. Yeah. The scenes where he was getting his powers, I don't think it was Weapon X. It was just... In the comics, Ajax was more of a muscle type. He was like the guard for that facility, but in this one they made him the actual scientist, which I thought was fine. I
do have to say, if there was one thing I didn't really care about in this movie, it was the villain. I mean, even like the opening shot when we were first introduced to him, where he just lifts a guy off the ground by his neck. So like, hey, here's the villain.
Yeah.
I thought that was a useless scene. I thought the villain was the weakest part.
He was kind of bland, but I think he was evil enough to make you really want him to die.
Yeah.
He was plenty evil. He was a little bit bland, but
I do have to say, like, at the very end, when finally getting to this ending scene, which is probably my favorite moment of the film, when Colossus is trying to like tell Deadpool, you know,
the 4 or 5 moments,
and this is that moment, and he's just rambling. I really thought Deadpool was gonna let Ajax live.
Did you? I saw that coming from a mile.
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, it feels like you see it coming, and then you kind of change your mind. Oh, maybe he's gonna actually listen to him.
Yeah.
And then he actually does that, and you're like, oh, my initial instinct on that, what was gonna happen was correct.
And then Colossus's reaction, just him throwing, it was so funny. Oh my gosh.
It was a good beat.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, so the serious moments where he was getting tortured, I think Ryan Reynolds did a good job of acting as like the kind of guy who uses humor as a defense mechanism to kind of like mask the pain that he was going through. Mm-hmm. I thought that was pretty good. It The more I talk about it, the more I like it, actually.
It's definitely a movie that you could like quote later, and like it's fun to talk about. One of the things that Marvel movies really have going for them, and I'm talking about Marvel like studios. This is like the first X-Men movie that, or Fox, Marvel Universe film that like really kind of is going that humor route that I think like Guardians of the Galaxy kind of pioneered in a way.
Yeah.
And it was I was reading this article on I fucking love science. It was about humor and like how scientists have like come up with like a definition of humor in it's almost become mathematical, where like they came up with like the world's funniest joke, which I forgot what it was already.
How could you forget it? Was it funny?
I didn't think it was that. I was like, okay, I guess yeah, it was funny, but it wasn't like the funniest. Anyway, their definition of humor was essentially just like subverting expectations. It's like going against what if like that's like the sort of the basis for humor. And that's what this whole film was. It was like not your standard superhero film. It was completely subverting expectations. Even with the ending, I thought Deadpool was going to let the guy live. I was totally convinced of that. He shot him in the head halfway through Colossus' speech. I could not stop laughing.
I think in a way that the Deadpool comics are kind of a riff on superhero comics, this movie was a riff on superhero movies. And I think even though the movie was originally supposed to come out years ago, I think now was the perfect time for it to come out, because we hear a lot more discussions about superhero fatigue coming out in the media. And so I think like movies like Watchmen, I think they would have been much bigger now if they came out now than if they came out then, because we're getting to the point where you can kind of be subversive on the genre.
Yeah.
And
if they would have waited for Watchmen, because it does kind of skew your notion of what you think a superhero film is. If they would have waited for that until like we're sort of in this superhero movie renaissance right now, where we're getting a strong idea of what that is or what it could be. Yeah, I agree. It would have been much more received.
And the same goes for Kick-Ass. That was kind of like a deconstruct of a superhero movie. And I think
although I appreciated the first one a lot. I thought that was really good.
Yeah, the first one was fantastic. The second one, not so much. But
I just remembered what the funniest joke is.
What? In Deadpool?
No, for the scientists. Sorry, this is totally going off topic, but this man calls 911 and the operator answers the phone. And he says, "Ma'am, I think my friend isn't breathing. He's on the floor. I think he's dying." Or and so the operator says, "Sir, are you sure he's dead?" Then you hear a gunshot, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, he's dead." Or yeah, it was something like that.
That was pretty good. Did the operator say, "Make sure he's dead"? Or are you sure he's dead?
Yeah, it was like, yeah, okay. It was something like that.
Okay, I get the gist of it.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. But yeah, I think it came out at the right time. I think it's going to make a lot of money.
It's breaking records right now. So the estimates I heard, like prior to the film's release, were that they were expecting like a $70 million opening weekend. It's now projecting at $130 million, so like double what they were expecting.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it has the biggest R-rated opening ever in history, and yeah, I mean it's nice. 130 is like really pretty good.
Yeah, for an R-rated film.
For an R-rated film for this time of year, for even a superhero film. I mean it's not. They're just totally a sequel.
Yeah,
there is.
Yeah, well, he announced it at the
very end of that. I know. I saw people leaving the theater before the end of the credits. I'm like, what are you doing? This is a Marvel movie. You I don't want to say retard. You idiots.
Well, I think typically only Marvel Studios will do the post.
Well, no, I mean they had one for Days of Future Past.
That's true, and they had one for.
Did they have one for First Class?
No. Yeah, I guess that was the first one that had the post-credit stinger.
But it's sort of become like this thing you expect from superhero movies now.
Yeah.
Like, even going back to Man of Steel, the story I told in the first podcast episode about how people were waiting for the Hulk.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like how the post-credits scene for Daredevil was a riff on the post-credits scene for Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Did you see Daredevil?
I've done that so many times. It's like for your Batman Superman thing. How do you confuse Batman and Superman though? Deadpool, the end credit scene for Deadpool was the riff on the Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
End credit
What do
scene.
you do? Go home. The movie's over.
The movie's over.
That was great. Yeah.
I do have. There was a moment that kind of ticked me off at the theater though, because there were a bunch of Daredevil fans over in the back right.
Deadpool.
Dang it! There were a bunch of Deadpool. It's automatic. There were a bunch of Deadpool fans in the back right of the theater, who they stood up during the post credit scene. Like everybody else was seated down. We were just watching it, and then when he came back and said, "Oh, and by the way, we're gonna have cable." Like one of them squealed, like one of the most loud, obnoxious, attention-seeking squeals. It kind of ticked me off because. Then they were getting excited and they were shaking, like they were having seizures and stuff, freaking out. It's
what?
Deadpool is a cool character. He's not a seizure-inducing excitement character, but they were acting like I wanted to say
he does have a huge fan base though.
He does, but I wanted to say you're not the only fans of Deadpool. Sit down. Everyone here who's staying after the credits, we're all fans of Deadpool.
Anyone who's seen on a Tuesday or a Thursday night is a fan of Deadpool.
Yeah, and so but they were kind of going over the top. It felt very attention-seeking, kind of they wanted. Here's the thing: being a comic book fan is not like a special club anymore. How I felt back in the early 2000s, I thought I was kind of a part of a special club and that I knew a lot about these characters and people would ask me about them. Now everybody's an expert, especially due to all the information you can find on the internet.
Anyone could go on Wikipedia.
Yeah. Everybody knows about these characters now. You are not, just because you squeal and act socially awkward doesn't mean you're the, I don't know. It kind of ticked me off, and I might.
All right.
I'm kind of ranting about it right now, but it's dude, shut up and sit down. We all like the character. Just watch what he has to say. I missed part of what he had to say because they were freaking out about Cable.
Are you excited for Cable?
I am. Yeah, I like Cable.
I think it's gonna be. I mean, he's sort of. I mean, he's like a violent. I almost see him. They could totally play him like a violent Colossus, just sort of like that counter, the stoic kind of humorless.
Yeah.
Foil, not foil, but counter
comedic foil.
Yeah, comedic foil for sure.
Man.
The straight man. And it's interesting. I always complain that they never do enough with Cyclops, but just to get more in that universe because. Cable is Cyclops' son from the future.
Right.
So, just go more into that sort of history, that sort of Cyclops background, I think will be cool. Who do you see them casting as Cable?
Well, they always go back to that one guy who was in Avatar. The bad guy,
yeah.
And,
that would be perfect. Then, yeah. Because that was my choice too. It needs to be that guy. If it's not that guy, I guess Dolph Lundgren would be cool too.
They're both pretty old.
Yeah. Which Cable should be. Ish. He has white hair.
Yeah, but he's not that old. I think isn't that just due to the technovirus that he has? I don't know, maybe I should look up the character more. I can't remember why
he's old. He's not young. He's not a young guy.
No. The thing is with Cable though, he's a time traveling character, and I feel like they need to kind of stay away from too much time traveling still in this X-Men universe. I laughed out loud. I really like the scene where Colossus was dragging. He handcuffed him and was dragging him away and said, "We're taking you to see Professor X." And he was like, "James McAvoy or Patrick Stewart? I'm so confused," or something like that. So, and I'm assuming that this movie takes place in current times. So in this kind of it's a tangent universe that was created, or not a tangent universe, but a
tangent universe.
Yeah, tangent universe. So
a reset timeline kind of thing.
Instead of going down the route that he did in X-Men Origins movie where he became Baraka Pool. It was the events of Days of Future Past that changed his timeline as well, and so he didn't become Baraka Pool, he became Deadpool.
Yeah.
I think that's
I
my
can
theory.
See that.
But yeah. What did you think of Negasonic Teenage Warhead? Do you know anything about the character?
I don't.
She came along during Grant Morrison's run, which is it had some really good moments, but had a lot of moments that weren't my favorite as far as X-Men.
I like what he did with Emma Frost.
I don't even know. I was super relieved when Joss Whedon came onto the book because I wasn't the huge fan of Grant Morrison's work. But Negasonic Teenage Warhead is one of those characters, and she had like cannonballs powers in the movie.
Yeah, she did. Yeah,
it was pretty cool. The powers matched her name a little bit more. I think it was a pretty cool power.
What does she do in the comic? I'm not familiar with the character.
She's like a goth psychic. She's a psychic.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is she called Negasonic Teenage Warhead then?
Because that's Grant Morrison's writing style. Like,
true.
Just weird and out there, kind of.
Negasonic Teenage. What the shit? That is the coolest name ever.
Yeah, so good. I can't wait to see it again tonight.
I do have to ask. There was a ton of swearing in the film. There was, violence. I've seen more violent movies. There was some nudity. I've seen more nudity in movies. Why was it banned from China?
That's a good question.
I don't understand that. Like, that was the first thing I thought of at the end of the movie. I was like, I was expecting almost, like, more. Well, like, I was almost, like, overhyped for just, like, how, like, violent and, nudity there was going to be. And, like, I don't understand why.
Well, like, we don't have a list of all the films that have been banned in China, so they may ban all films that are along these lines that have this level of.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know.
So, I don't think it was. I think it was just enough nudity, just enough violence. I don't think they went too over the top with it, but they definitely went enough to make it rated R, and definitely won't be taking any kids to see it.
No, yeah, actually there were kids.
Are you serious?
There were kids there. Geez. I was like, you idiots. Idiot parents.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a movie that would attract. I bet you a ton of kids are going to try to see this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, actually,
and good for them because I remember trying to do that when I was a kid too, trying to see rated R.
The friends I went to see it with, they have younger children, and the younger children, I guess, knew about Deadpool because they're comic book fans, and they wanted to see it, but. The mom was like, I don't think so. And I was like, yeah, don't let them see this movie ever. I have 2 daughters too, and there's no way I would ever want them to. Well, when they're age appropriate.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if I had any kids, I'd probably let them see it at like 16, 14. No, 14.
14.
16 is good.
12. No. I'm trying to think of how old I was when I saw The Matrix. Although that was just like
we were 13 when we saw The Matrix, but that was a different kind of rated R. That was
for sure.
Game violence.
Yeah,
and this is.
I almost feel like that'd be PG-13 nowadays.
The Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I was in like even with like the nudity in Deadpool, like they put that in there to make the movie rated R. Like it didn't need to be at a strip club, So.
Best Stanley cameo ever or best Stanley cameo ever?
Definitely. Best Stanley cameo ever. When I saw that, I leaned over the person I was seeing the film with, and I was like, is that Stan Lee?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was even though he didn't invent the character or anything.
No. Yeah, where was Rob Liefeld in the film?
I don't think he was in the film. I saw that there was a special thank you to him at the end.
It was like a
special thank you with tongue or something.
With tongue,
like
yeah.
That was pretty funny. So actually, I was thinking about the strip club scene when he was in the bathroom. What did you think of the motivation for Deadpool, for his character in the movie?
Love.
Yeah, it was love, but I mean, he also wouldn't approach her, so it was almost his motivation was almost just vanity.
It was like, I want my face back. I want my Ryan Reynolds face back.
He said, I want to be hot again, or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was kind of weird, I thought. I mean, of course, like, the end game for that was to get back with Vanessa.
Yeah.
Marina Baccarin's character, but...
It just kind of shows his naivete that she was with him because of his looks.
Yeah.
But even at the beginning, he was like, your crazy matches my crazy. It wasn't about looks. It wasn't...
Right.
Actually, when I was watching the film, I was like, really? It wasn't that big of a deal, but I was like, really? You still look like Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah, he was a little more insecure. Like the fact that his insecurity kind of motivated him on this revenge spree kind of was a little awkward. But it was.
Yeah, why not? Why not just get back? Those torture scenes were pretty hard to watch, and especially the scene where the one that triggered his mutation. Which, by the way, I loved that whole concept, like injecting you with the serum and then putting you through all these like stress, torture. Scenarios to try and trigger a mutation. I thought that was smart. I thought that was really smart. But yeah, why not just go after the guy for not messing up your face, but for torturing you? Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that was the scene with him like in that chamber, the oxygen chamber, where like they were cutting the oxygen, just barely keeping him alive. Ugh, that was intense.
It was really good acting. Do you think that Morena Baccarin's character, Vanessa, do you think with a sword went right through that glass tube, the container that she was in, and he kind of threw her off the tanker, and like it fell, how many stories? Do you think it actually would have like stayed intact as it did? I kind of called bullshit on that. That's nitpicking.
The whole like end thing. Were they fighting like on a boat?
Yeah,
a freighter.
I thought it was probably a freighter. I thought it was a tanker.
I thought it was a little Deus Ex Machina in a way, just with like Negasonic Teenage Warhead, just like, I guess obviously not fully in control of her powers, but it was just like, oh, that was like not convenient, but it
still would have ended the same. I think. I don't think it was too Deus Machina because
it definitely like affected.
Deadpool still would have killed.
He still would have killed him.
Ajax, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was for spectacle, I guess.
Spectacle, yeah, definitely. And that's where the CG...
Otherwise the end battle would have seemed fairly small scale, I think.
Maybe.
How great was it when he said, I'm going to spell it out for you? With his name. He was like, what's my name? He's like, I'm going to spell it out for you. And then he did with the body.
Yeah. That was great. Oh, one of my favorite scenes when I was cracking up so hard was the guy who played the taxi driver. He was great. And then at the end, he was like, I never told him to do that. I'm so proud of you. you go home. I forget what he said.
Go get her back. Kidnap her.
It was like, kill him. It was so great. It
was good. And then he got rear-ended.
Oh my gosh. And he left all of his guns in that taxi.
Yeah.
That guy was so screwed. He had a guy in his trunk. He had a backpack full of guns. Oh my gosh. Poor guy.
I think one of my other favorite comedic moments was when he was stabbed in the brain.
Oh, and then you saw the animated...
and then the Chicago song, You're My Inspiration, came on. With all the animated unicorns and stuff.
I didn't expect that. That was great.
That was funny.
That was hilarious.
So overall, good movie.
His healing factor was interesting. It wasn't like what I expected.
What do you mean?
I mean, I thought he healed faster than that. Like, I thought, like, if you decapitate Deadpool, like, he'll still be talking and his body will be moving around in the comics, at least. I thought.
He didn't suffer massive injuries in this movie so much so that it kind of tested the limit of his healing factor.
Well, the baby hand thing.
The baby hand
was weird. I bet it's gonna feel so huge in this hand.
Creepy, but in a hilarious way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think overall, final thoughts.
Well, yeah, I never gave my rating for the film. I would give it 4 out of. Yeah, I'll give it the same rating, 4 out of 5, but not Infinity Stones. I'll give it 4 out of 5 spectral power lanterns. even though there's 7.
When I grade movies, too, I don't necessarily grade them, like, all on the same scale. It's a sliding scale. I basically compare my perception of how good the film could have been to how good the end result was. And while Deadpool wasn't a perfect film, it was almost as good as you could get for a Deadpool movie. So what were you gonna say?
Well, no, go ahead.
So like a 5 out of 5, Infinity, 5 Infinity Stones out of 5 Infinity Stones movie would be along the lines of like the Avengers or the first Iron Man movie or Captain America: Winter Soldier, and like as 1 out of 5 would be more along the lines of like X-Men Origins Wolverine and the latest Fantastic Four movie. So.
For me, I think I rate it on a scale of like, what did it set out to do? Did it accomplish what it was set out to do? And in this case, it really did. Like it was meant to be. It was meant to be funny and entertaining. Just action packed, and it totally was. But for me, where it fell short again was the villain.
Yeah.
I think if it had a better villain, it would have been a perfect movie.
Are you excited for the sequel?
I'll see it. Yeah, for sure. I'll see it.
I'll see it too. I'm excited. I'm a little worried that it won't be as good as this one, especially when you start throwing in other characters. But I think it's we got a franchise here.
For sure. I think if they go like an X-Force route where it's just like R-rated X-Men, I think that would be great.
That would be awesome.
That would be so cool.
That would be the best case scenario, I think.
I think so.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, what would you do? Would it be Deadpool 2, X-Force, or I'm sure
Deadpool : X-Force.
They'll come up with something much more funny and clever than that. Or is it just a straight X-Force movie?
X-Force. I don't know. All right, well, that does it for this review. If you have anything to add, tell us what you thought of the movie by contacting us at DC Marvel Battle at Twitter.
Yeah,
Twitter.
Or you can email us at dcmarvelbattlecast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and if you send us a letter and we think it's worth reading online, if you mention things that we didn't mention, we'll go ahead and read it during the next podcast.
We haven't received any suggestions for the next Battlecast, which will be the next episode.
Right.
So send those in. Let us know what you want to see. It may not be the next one. We'll keep a log of them. But we'll try and get it in there.
Thank you for tuning in this time. You can find us on iTunes now. We're on iTunes. Just do a search for DC Marvel Battlecast.
Yep.
So you can find us on iTunes and on SoundCloud. And see you guys next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Up, and away.
True believers.